Lee, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Not bad, not bad, sir. Thanks so much for doing this.
No, no problem at all.
You're
No problem,
such a busy guy, so I genuinely appreciate it.
no problem at all.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so do you know, I was just thinking, actually, we've only actually ever met in person once, and that was at our mutual friend's wedding, Zara and Vic,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
a couple of
How many years ago was that now?
years, 3 or 4 maybe, although I'm sure. Yeah, 3 or 4 years. So that was something I'll maybe need to remedy. There'll be a training opportunity or maybe a seminar or something we can organise to get.
Yeah, definitely. You're up for that. Definitely.
Right. Okay. I was taking some notes this morning on things that I wanted to talk to you about, and
Yep.
I think we should just jump right in. Now, I want to talk about your actual martial arts career and the stunt work and the acting work, but let's start with Gangs of London. Right?
Okay.
Let's start with that. Probably the biggest show on Sky TV this year, I would imagine. It must be up there.
Yeah, I think it has took it. I mean, I think we were quite fortunate in the way that, well, fortunate and unfortunate that it come during lockdown. You know, and it was at the beginning of lockdown. So I think it was sort of like at that initial stage of lockdown, all everyone seemed to be doing was watching TV and watching box sets and like movies. And I think it's because no one actually knew what we were allowed to do or what we were meant to be doing or where to be going.
Yeah.
So I think Gangs of London actually hit this niche market where sort of like everybody needed something new to watch. You know, everyone was sort of like, you know, everyone would watch Ozark, and they would do, you know, there was a couple of series that got brought out at that time. And then Gangs come out and sort of, you know, I mean, when we were actually making it, it felt special. It felt really, really special. You know, it felt like, it just felt like something special was gonna come from it at that time. But I don't think any of us could have anticipated just how well received it was. You know, it was sort of like, you know, it was mind blowing. I mean, I remember that first initial 4 to 6 weeks after it come out.
Yeah.
I got thousands and thousands of messages just off people, you know, on Twitter, Facebook, and it was just I was waking up every day to like hundreds and hundreds of messages.
Yeah.
You know, and to be a part of it, you know, Gareth Evans, you know, the guy did The Raid, you know, he revolutionised martial art movies. Yeah. He changed how the martial art genre sort of, it went into this sort of like ultra stylish violence, you know, obviously, you know, he bred a new superhero of martial artists and eco and stuff like that. And, you know, the guy, you know, him along with Matt Flannan, the DP, you know, they have this understanding between each other of how it should be filmed, how it should look and stuff. And then you know, the fight coordinator, you know, I'll always give a big heads up to the stunt coordinator, fight coordinator, Jude Boyer. You know, Jude learned his trade in Hong Kong. So, you know, he worked with, you know, Samo, Donnie, Jet, you know, Yung Biao, you know, so you're sort of like, you've got like this sort, you've got these people who all collaborated together and worked together to just bring something phenomenal. You know, it's just, you know, it was really, I mean, not the fact that I was in it, it would be something I would watch even if I wasn't in it. You know, it was just, you know, and, you know, the cinematography and stuff, and, you know, take my episode aside, you know, you got Gordon Alexander, you know, the fight with Choppe with the axe and stuff, which was very stylish martial arts and stuff in the thing. And then you got episode 5, which was just like, you know, the siege. It was just mind blowing.
The way the series actually started on the rooftop. I remember the first night when you'd started advertising that it was coming on and stuff, and obviously my wee boy was in bed, well in bed, and my wife had went up the stairs to bed, and I sort of put it on, and it was even just the start of the series, and we'll chat a wee bit about just your experience on filming it and playing such an iconic, being one of the most iconic scenes. So my wife Tracy had went to bed and sort of put it on, and just for that very first scene, you get sort of scenes in TV shows or in movies that just catch you right from the beginning. And then, as I say, leading on to your sort of main scene with the sort of meat cleaver and stuff, and it was just like, oh my God, this is just... I don't know where this is going to go. Right, so you're in a... And again, I want to spend time talking about this, the sort of many experiences you've had, but you're in a huge TV show, it's on Sky Atlantic, and you've probably got one of the most talked about scenes in the full sort of first season. So just what was it like, the full experience?
I mean, for me, you know, obviously, you know, this is, you know, martial arts and film have been my life since I was a kid. You know, I've never known anything different. And, you know, I wanted to be Bruce Lee when I was 6 after seeing a Bruce Lee movie. And it's sort of like, to get the opportunity to be in something like that and to be on set and to like, you know, it was, I knew how big the role was, if that made sense, in terms of like how iconic it could be, how it would turn out. And I remember, like, I think the turning point for me is that when we were there, I mean, I had to put 2 stone on for it, so it was like a lot heavier than what it was. You know, it was freezing cold. We were in this old, like, sort of abandoned place that had been set up, and, you know, it's sort of that added to the whole experience, because like, it was quite grim. It was grim for me because, you know, I'm sat there, I've got a thong on under my underpants, which is on right my backside. You know, like, how women cope with them, I do not know. It was like, it was the most uncomfortable thing, and then I've got this added weight on me, which I'm not used to having. And then it was just cold, and sort of like, we shot it in like the way it went. We shot it as it went. So, you know, I've got to like progressively be sort of, I get angrier and angrier and angrier, you know, for those who've seen it, as the fight goes on. Like, you see me sort of like build up. I had to keep this on for like the whole duration. I mean, we filmed that. We did a week, and then we did 2 days on pickups as well. So it was, you know, you're looking at like 7 days. You know, it's 10-hour days. You know, it was intense. It was really. But the main thing for me, like, we just knew it felt special. But the scene where I go into the room and get the meat cleaver after I've threw shop eight, well, it's actually men's. There's the stunt double. Okay. When I throw men's over onto the washing machine, and then he's flat out, and I go in and get the meat cleaver. Obviously, shop eight's then sat down. The actor who plays Elliot, and I come out with the meat cleaver and come out meat cleaver first off, and I'm standing there. And he's just looking at me, and obviously you can just see me, and I'm looking like all menacing as you do, and I'm stood there, and then we called cut, and he come up to me and he went, "That's really iconic." He said, "When you come out," he said, "I got goosebumps." he goes, "You know, this is the lead actor," and I was just like, "Really?" He goes, he's like, honestly, he goes, "You know, you walked out," and he goes, even I was like, "My God, you know, this is nuts." Yeah. So we sort of like, I mean, obviously for me, you know, I love every opportunity that I have to be able to do what I do, and I find myself, I think, you know, I'm really fortunate to do what I do. You know, I absolutely, I love it. You know, it's weird because, like, I am like a geek. I'm a big film geek. I'm nuts on stuff like that. And so for me, like, being on set, you know, especially gangs, I'm like, this is the guy who did Raid, you know, and like, you try as cool as you want to be. Yeah. Like, and you know, and you've got to be cool, and you've got to be calm, you've got to be collective, you've got to be professional, and, you know, you've got all this going through your head. You know, you've got this big scene coming up, you've got a mad fight scene, you've got to look after the actor, you've got to perform, and you've got to give the drama. But deep down inside, I'm going, this is the guy off the Raid, you know. So it's like, it's quite like, I mean, for me, you know, like I say, you know, to have the opportunity that I have and to be able to do the things that I do, is just like, it's insane. It's insane, you know. And my little boys are an age now where he's starting to understand sort of what I do. Although he did say to me, because obviously he's watched a couple of the movies, and he went to me, "Dad, why are you so rubbish at fighting? Obviously, because I lose and everything I do, and I'm just like, mate, this is just TV. This is just TV.
My wee boy's 8 now, and for the first 5 years, I actually had him convinced that I was Batman. And so when are we going to see the Batcave and stuff? But he's now at the age where, just when you were talking about putting weight on for a scene, he's not doing my confidence any good at all, because Batman's got a 6-pack and you don't have a 6-pack, Dad. So
they're ruthless. Children are ruthless, man.
Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. That must be important, but or do you think it's important to have that humility, I guess, and that still being modest and still enjoying the process, because you are such a geek, a fan of what you're doing? And
I always say, do you know what? It's like when you're in a job like that, I don't understand people that piss and moan. Sorry if there's people that didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. You're okay.
Yeah. It's like I don't understand. Like, you know, we're given this opportunity to be doing something really special here. You know, it's like, you know, there's a small percentage of people that get the opportunity to do it, and I just embrace the whole time I'm there. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna watch myself on a cinema screen, and it doesn't, you know, like, I'm gonna be like, you know, even after I'm gone, that TV series is still gonna be here. Yeah, you know, them memories are still gonna be here, and it's sort of like, I just, for me, like, I embrace every moment, and I think to myself, do you know what? Like, you know, I was a kid that grew up in a rough council estate in Rockferry, you know, and I just think, you know, to be able to do the stuff that I'm doing, it's like, it's mad. It's mad, you know, and I get stopped in the streets all the time. I mean, even more so now, I can't even go shopping now. Like, I have people follow me around supermarkets and stuff, looking at me going, it is you, isn't it? So,
just you can see, just from talking to you and sort of seeing you on this screen here, that excitement within you, that's a lovely thing to see. It really, really is, that somebody's sort of following and getting to follow their dreams. It's
I mean, like, it's so funny, like, because, you know what, like, I mean, round by mine, because obviously the Winners, like, a small area. I'm living up in Insulet, they're over the water from Liverpool. So everyone sort of knows me, you know, and it's like, or they know of me, or, you know, it's just, you know, and obviously the career I had in my fighting and stuff as well, I did well from that. But I'm just, you know, I'm just a normal guy. I go into my dojos, I mop the floors, I brush the floors, I mop the floors, you know, I'm cleaning the pee up at the end of the night that the kids have peed all over the seats and stuff. You know, that's who I am. That's like, I'll never not be that guy. Yeah. You know, it's just that I'm fortunate enough at the moment to be doing what I do. And I think, and to be honest, I think the fact that I sort of have them both things, it keeps me, that's my yin and my yang. You know, that's what keeps me centered. That's what keeps me harmonized. That's what keeps me, you know, because you can get lost. You can get lost in that world. You know, you can get lost in the whole hoopla. You know, I did when I was fighting. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, everyone's calling your name, and everyone's wanting your pictures, and you sort of like, you know, the worst thing that you can do is sort of believe your own hype. If that's what, you know what I mean. So for me, it's just, you know, I still find it weird. You know, I've got friends now that ask me for photographs. That's the weirdest thing. I'm just, you know, my mates are like, is there any chance of a signed photo from Gangs? And I'm like, I'm your friend. So, but you know, it's you know, it's nice to have that support, and it's nice. You know, we all. I always, like, I don't do it for like a pat on the back. And I know that sounds really stupid. You know, if you see my Facebook and stuff, you know, everything's about self-promotion and it's promotion, all this, and it's all bullshit. You know, the whole, you know, for me as a person, I'm dead quiet. I'm not, you know, I don't go out, I don't really do nothing. I train, I look after my son, and I love to do. So, you know, I don't do the stuff that I do to be patted on the back. I do it because I absolutely love doing it. And, you know, and having the opportunity to do them things, you know, the pat on the back's a bonus when you do a good job, because you always want to do a good job. You know, as a martial artist, you know yourself, you know, when you're doing a grading or when you're sitting an exam, the one thing that you want to do is perform to the best of your ability. Yeah. So for me, that's what it's about. And, you know, if someone goes, oh, that was, you know, I've had celebrities that I don't even know, like, message me, you know, big celebrities, you know, off TV shows and films and stuff after gangs, and these, you know, we've been friends on social media, but we've never spoke. And then as soon as gangs come out, they're like messaging me saying how great it was, and I was, and that's another thing. I'm sitting there going, my God, sometimes just message me, and I'm like, sometimes just, you know, like that's how much of like a fan I am. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't like, I don't do it for the praise, but it's nice to get that pat on the back. You know, it's nice that people appreciate your work. But, you know, as long as I'm giving 100%, and as long as I'm getting the chance to perform and be able to do what I do, I'm not really bothered. You know, it's just, you know, it's being there. It's you know, having that opportunity. You know, these people, like, who I've idolised and looked up to for years, and then the next thing I'm on, you know, I worked with Gary Oldman last year or the year before, and you're like, you know, Gary Oldman, and like, you're like an older, you know, and it's like, it's just, it's not, you know, fighting Dave Bautista. It's like, you know, it's like fighting Dave Bautista. And the more, like, it's the way this thing is, I've done these things, and it's not until someone, like, reminds me what I've sort of done. I mean, I've got stuff all over my house that I see it, but then when someone reminds me and actually sit there and go, I thought Dave Bautista left, you know, it's like...
That's probably a good point to bring up, because I can't believe, as I say, I was taking some notes this morning, knowing that we were going to be chatting this afternoon, and I've actually missed Gary Oldman off the list. So I was making a wee list of people that you've actually had. I mean, the timelines of the podcast that I do jump about, so bear with me, right? But right, Gary Oldman, okay?
Yeah.
Dave Bautista, John Cusack, Billy Bob Thornton, your friend Michael Bisping, Noel Clark, Stormzy. The list goes on. And as I say, I've probably missed out the most famous actor there that you've just mentioned. I can't believe that I haven't wrote Gary Oldman down. Right, so I think what we'll do, as I say, I tend to jump about. Let's jump back a bit and go from you growing up, same as I did, and I still do, staying in a small sort of council estate, through all your martial arts experience, to end up fighting Dave Bautista in a lift. Right, so.
Crazy. It's just insane. I mean, you know, I say this all the time, and, you know, I'll always say it because it's true to what it is. I was like 5-6 years old. I watched, you know, we all gathered around at my nan and granddad's because they were the first people to get a VHS video recorder. So we're all there. You know, it sounded like a tank was pulling up to your house when you just pressed eject. But we're there, and we've been to, like, the Jolly Roger video shop, and we got two movies, and it was The Big Boss and Monty Python, The Holy Grail. So the whole family gathered together to, like, have this experience, to watch it. It was in the middle of the day. And the first film that they put on was The Big Boss with Bruce Lee, so we all sat there and watched it. And then the scene where he comes back, you know, everyone's been slaughtered, and he's in the house, and he slips on the blood. Well, I was sick. I was like 5, and I was sick because we seeing the blood and stuff. But I just developed this, like, obsession with Bruce Lee, like a bizarre obsession with Bruce Lee. And I just sort of, like, you know, I connected with this guy that wasn't even speaking in English. You know, his voice was dubbed, you know, and I just, you know, for a young kid to be able to, like, sort of see someone like that, and then, like, I just wanted, like, and I think so, like subconsciously, I was like, I want to be Bruce Lee when I grow up. That's what I want to do. I want to be Bruce Lee. And then I sat down recently with an interview, and I was sitting there, and I was like, hang on a minute. I was like, I wanted to be Bruce Lee, right? And then I started, like, doing this checklist, and I was like, right, okay, so, I mean, I'm not saying I'm Bruce Lee, you know what I mean? But I was I wanted to be like him. Yeah. So then I was like, martial arts, I was world champion. I've gone into movies, and I'm like, you know, I'm doing a pretty good job of taking the exactly.
Yep.
So it was. So I remember sitting there, and, you know, I just become obsessed. My dad, I started off with traditional jiu-jitsu, There was like, and it was this was like a tiny small class.
Yeah.
It was in the Bedmonton Civic Centre, and I remember we got enrolled in, and the class stopped for one reason or another. And then the only things that you could do in the 80s when I was a kid in the early 80s was either karate or judo. There was no other martial arts. There was no mixed martial arts. You know, there wasn't even hardly any taekwondo schools around the time. Yeah. If you wanted to do kung fu, you could only do it in Liverpool and Chinatown. So, you know, and you'd be trained over there and doing it over there. Like, it was very hard. So I signed up to do Shotokan, and that was my first martial art. And like, you know, it obviously, you know, it was like rigid. And I just remember thinking, hang on a minute. Bruce Lee fought these guys on Fist of Fury. I'm the bad guy, you know. Yeah. So I was sitting there and I just like, but I mean, I stuck with shows. I did karate for years. I did it for years, but I never really. My friends knew I did it. You know, I never really like advertised that I did it. It was for me. It was my thing. It was what I wanted to do, and then. Obviously, over the years of reading loads of stuff, I always wanted to do kung fu. I always wanted to do a Chinese martial arts. You know, I like the fluidity of it. I like the softness. I like the way you can go from soft to hard and stuff. Yeah. So, I think it was about one of my dad's best friends at the time is my Sifu now master, Brian McKinney. Yeah. So he was the first person. I remember as a child, he's been in my life since I was born. I remember as a child, he was the first person that gave me my first Bruce Lee book. He gave me this magazine book thing when I was a kid, and I was just like, oh. And then I think I was about 14, and he started off his own martial arts school, and doing wushu and stuff like this. So I did karate. I'd done a bit of bits and bobs of other little things in between, and then I started with Brian and did like the wushu and the karate. I did tai chi, qigong. You know, I just sort of like I was there. I lived there. I got up in the morning. I run to the gym. I had my own set of keys. I opened up. I trained every morning. Then I'd lock up. I'd run to school from the gym. I'd get a shower in the school. I'd be training in an hour. Run straight back to the gym once. I lived and breathed it. I remember. You know, all the lads that I used to train with were like, you used to come in, you'd be in the corner, like sat like Van Damme and splits with like a Bruce Lee book. He says it was just like that. He was just that obsessed, and it was. And like I remember reading, like obviously Bruce Lee said, take what's useful, discard the rest. And I remember many articles, you know, talking about all the different types of fight discipline and stuff like this. You know, even down to dancing. Because Bruce Lee danced, I even took dance lessons. Yeah. I did dancing I did dancing for so many years because of it. And I just thought, you know, there's got like this guy changed the world, you know, and he did it like probably at one of the toughest times to be Chinese or to be any other ethnicity around that era other than white. But he changed the world. He changed everyone's view on how. And I was like, this is just this like 5 foot odd Chinese guy who was just like so special at what he did. And I think just, I mean, without knowing all that, he was obviously just very, very special, very charismatic on screen. And that was it. I just become completely obsessed. Started in Chinese martial arts, then I was doing like traditional karate championships. I won that. I was the youngest champion of the BKA for Kumite fighting in the senior section. I think I was about 16, 17 at the time. I fought like a 50 degree in the final. I remember, honestly, he hit me with this reverse punch, and I felt like I'd been an alien. I fought like, to be honest, I've never been. And even to this day, like I've had fights all over the world, and I've fought the biggest, toughest guys there is. Yeah. And that is the one punch that
you remember them, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a like Chudan Oizuki. It was just like a reverse punch. Yeah. And I thought he went through my spine and then tickled the back of the head. It was that strong. But you know, and then obviously from there, like I played football for a couple of years in between. I was quite good at football. And then I had an injury, and sort of from the football, which sort of ended my short career. And then I remember just one day, I'd been training and stuff, and I was with one of my ex-girlfriends, excuse me, and I was lying there, and I remember I bought like Martial Arts Illustrated, and they did advertise the WK Nationals, and I was just like, I remember opening it, and I just went, this is the morning, and I was like, should we go to Manchester? And she was like, what for? And I was like, I'm going to fight. And she was like, you know what? And I was like, I'm going to fight. Right. So I went up to the WKAs, and I just thought to myself, well, I'll sign in, and I signed in, and like, I hadn't fought for a few years. Mm-hmm. And then I come like third in the nationals, and I hadn't like trained. I've just got like heart. I've just got heart, and I had some bloodbaths as well. I had some terrible fights. Like, and I come third, and I was like, oh, I'll come third, and I was made up, and then I come home, and then I got a letter then to fight for Great Britain.
Was that your first experience in? Because that was going to be one of my questions actually. That was your first experience in sport martial arts then? You mean?
I'd done a little bit earlier on. I remember Alfie Lewis had a tournament in Walton years ago, and it was like the Karate Kid moment. I had my dad on the mat, I'm in my white gear, and everyone else is in sport martial arts gear, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But I beat one of Alfie's lads in the semis. He broke my fingers, one of his lads. And then I come to the final, and I literally just taped my fingers up and fought the final. And I ended up winning. But I remember all Alfie's lads running on and lifting me up, and I was just with my dad.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that time. So I'd had a little bit, and then I sort of divulged into the semi and stuff. And then I had this like little period out. And then I just come back, and I just, like I say, I just opened a magazine on what I always, any type of martial art magazine that come out monthly, I bought it.
Yeah.
So to be honest, it wasn't until a few years ago that I actually got rid of them. I've got like every edition of Fighting Arts, Terry O'Neill's Fighting Arts. I've got like the first edition of Budo, which is like 1960 something. In the dojo. Yeah. So it's like I was just I was that obsessed. And then, I go into the WKAs, and I remember turning up, and it was when competitions were busy. They sort of like, I think they've just been, there's that many now that no one knows where to go. Whereas back then, you just had big competitions. I remember turning up, and I was like, oh my God, it was so busy. George Carnell. And then I got picked to fight for Great Britain. And at the time, I was playing for Jason McAteer's football team on a Sunday. Basically, he asked me to look after young lads, because he had young lads that were playing they were on the brink of professional contacts, but they were only young kids, and I was only young myself, but he needed someone to sort of like look after them if anyone kicked off. So basically, I was his like little muscle, if you like. But I remember coming in. I got the letters and stuff, and I come in, and Jace was there, and I was like, listen, I said, I'm not going to be able to play no more. I said, I'll give you a couple of weeks. I said to find someone, but being picked to fight for Great Britain and that. And he's like, oh, right, okay, blah blah blah. He's like, oh, brilliant, cheers, mate. He was a good friend of mine, obviously, Jace. And then the next week, he come in with a check, and he paid for my whole first trip. So if it wasn't for Jason, I probably wouldn't have got to fight in that first World Championships. And
where would he have been playing at that time then?
I think he was a Blackburn at the time. So yeah, I think he was a Blackburn at the time, and he funded it. And I haven't seen him for years. I would like to see him now, because obviously that sort of like that phase of him doing that like has led me to be starting in Gangs of London. Yeah. It's sort of like it catapulted sort of my motivation and my thing. So I'd like to see him to say, to thank you for giving me that opportunity. Just as long as he doesn't ask for the money back.
It's amazing how people can just do wee sort of acts of kindness, and maybe don't even think about it, and it just changes people's.
But I said to him on that thing, I said, do you want me to like go in the paper and that? And he's like, no. He goes, everyone will ask. Everyone will then ask me for sponsorship. So he said to put JWM. He said, just put JWM, which is his initials. Mm-hmm. He said, and just say, I'd like to thank JWM for the sponsorship, and just keep it at that. So we did that. So yeah, it would be nice. I should try and get in touch with him. Really, you know, it's around the corner. So just you know, but like I say, it was that. You know, you look at different things that happen in your life, and it was at that point that he gave me that inspiration to go on and to fight and to give me the motivation to have a new path and a new desire to do stuff. You know, and obviously on the back of that, I went on to win 6 world titles. You know, Europeans, I got disqualified quite a lot. But it's just you know, and then I had the opportunity to fight all over the world just from that, you know, as you say, that one kind of moment.
I remember driving. We drove all the way down to one of Richard Hopkins' championships, for Womer, and I don't know what the rules are like now, but for whatever reason, and some of the Womer competitions were tough enough, and you weren't allowed to draw blood. So we stay half an hour from Glasgow and drove all the way down to Cheltenham, and this is the God's honest truth, and I only tell this story for the humour of it. Certainly not sort of boasting. It's nothing to boast about. But I remember the very first fight of the day. It was either a back fist or a jab or whatever it was. Bust the guy's nose. Blood was drawn, and I was instantly disqualified. Just when you're talking about being disqualified. So that's a true story. A 6-hour drive, feel like Hamilton, all the way down to Cheltenham.
I used to turn up to Richard's things, to competitions, and I had the phase where like I got disqualified a lot. So, and it's like, I remember turning up to one of his and them going on the door, oh God. It was just like, oh, we got our hands full today. So, but you know, I mean, I think that was the fun of it, wasn't it? You know, the like back in the day, you know, the sports martial arts side, you know, it's funny, like, because like you had all these like friends who weren't friends; they were really enemies, but then they were friends, and it was sort of everything was intertwined. But then when you got on the mat, that was it. It was just that's just the way it was. You know, you fought for what you wanted to do, and you know, I cherish all our memories. You know, I cherish. You know, I've fought with some of the greatest fighters like ever. You know, I fought on Great Britain teams, and I've travelled the world with some like phenomenal talent. You know, Michael Page. Yep. We went over to Cyprus over there. You know, that was that tournament over in Cyprus was probably the best tournament. I had to pull out to the semis because I lost the feeling in one of my arms. I just lost it. I mean, my arm went. I could move it, but it just went dead. But the doctor wouldn't let me fight, and then we were like, "Just give us like a day or for it to come back." And and you know what? I've never, like, even when I've gone on to win full contact titles, and I've never fought like I did on that, like, you know, on that ring sport, on that competition. You know, but you know, Robbie Hughes, Brendan Mitty. You know, some of the fighters like that I had the opportunity to, you know, Mark Worth, Paul, you know, John Lloyd, Ed Loft. You know, you look back at some of the teams and I'm like, wow, you know, Natasha Baldwin, you know, Natasha's like the greatest female, you know, kickboxer in the world. She's just, you know, so having, and these were when they were kids, and like, obviously I was a little bit older. And then, you know, you see them now and how much they've blossomed and gone on to, like, you know, some of them have gone on to dominate the world. I mean, look at Michael, you know, what he does in Bellator and stuff. And it's just like having that opportunity and them memories, and it's like it's funny because doing things like this, when it brings it back, makes me happy. Yeah. Because as much as you don't forget it, you just sort of like, you put it aside, don't you? And it's only when you sort of start talking about it, or you bump into someone that like shared them experiences with you. I think
did Robbie Hughes go on to be a dentist?
Yeah, he's like one of the top dentists in the world.
And that always makes me giggle when I see that, because I think how much dental problems did he cause people? and now he dedicates his life to fixing them. But yeah,
he dedicated his life to knocking them out. Now he's dedicated to fixing them.
That's it. It's just so strange to be a world-class fighter now, like a world-class dentist. That one always sort of made me.
I mean, the thing with the like Robbie and stuff is, though, like when I was trying to, like, it takes a special person to be a certain type of person. So, and like, if like you look at what he achieved in that short space of time, whatever else he was going to put his mind to, he was going to be the best at what he did, because he doesn't know any other way, you know. And it's sort of like, you know, I say to kids all the time, like, all the kids, the reason I do martial arts schools and I run martial arts schools is for the simple reason is I want to give kids the opportunity that martial arts give me. That's it. Simple. You know, and I don't like, and I say to the kids, and I'm like, what you've got to understand is that although it may just feel like you're kicking and punching, and sometimes it feels like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. And as bored as you get, and you have these moments where 1 minute you're in love with it, the next minute you're despising it, the next minute you're like, oh, it's just all right. I said, you're creating something that you don't understand what's happening inside you. I was like, I went from liking a Bruce Lee movie when I was a kid to working in Hollywood movies and like just being on like the one of the most successful TV shows in Britain on Sky. So you sort of like, so for me, like when I say to the kids, I'm like, it's trying to get it into their head, and I am a firm believer in that. The only person that can stop you failing at anything in your life is you. It's nobody else. It's you. Yeah. Because people, the minute someone's told no, people give up, and they'll just keep giving up. And for me, it's like I wasn't the greatest fighter. But I just would not give up. I mean, you know, and every time I got beat, I always seen it as one step closer to winning. I didn't say there's like, oh, it's another defeat. I was like, okay, I got beat, but I did a bit better that time. Mm-hmm. And I used to think, there's only be so many times where I get beat before I win and before it allows me to go on. And I use that attitude with everything, like kicking and, you know, throwing certain kicks. I remember when we were doing karate and stuff and being able to do stuff. And like back in the day, you couldn't do a spring kick until you were like brown belt. Yeah. They just didn't allow you to do it. Yeah. So you were just like Keon Brock, you know, it was like Keon Kata, you know, and you just sort of, I was like, I want to throw spin kicks like Bruce Lee. And it's like, no. And I was a brown belt for, they wouldn't grade me when I was a kid to black belt because they wouldn't allow it. It's just what they did. They never used to allow kids like to grade. And in like proper traditional schools, they just didn't do so I was a brown belt for 6 years. 6 years. Yeah. So I seen people join, get a black belt, and leave whilst I was still on brown belt. Yeah. So that enabled me to sort of like build this resilience to like sort of going, do you know what? The end goal is there. You've just got to keep working for it. And that's what I say to the kids and every kid that comes to the club. I'm like, you know, it's easy for your mates to knock on your door and for you to follow suit and like not do your schoolwork or not do the stuff that you want to do or not even be who you want to be. Yeah. Because they feel like they have to do something. I was never that kid. I was as antisocial back then as what I am now. You know, because this is my life. It's like this is my life. This is who I want to be. And I want to be like, I want to go like, I want to go away from this knowing that what I leave behind for my son and for my son's children and stuff like that is sort of like my own legacy that they can look up to and take sort of, look at it and go, oh, you know, my granddad did this or my great granddad went on to do this, and sort of give it that little bit of inspiration. You know, I've sacrificed lots of stuff and lots of opportunities, you know, and it's like, and I just think to myself, you know, if you can, even if I influence one kid, like out of the thousands of kids that come through my door through martial arts training, if I can influence one kid's life and change one kid's life and say something or do something that makes them go on to do something different, then that I'm happy. That's it. That my job is done as a martial art instructor. You know, it's not. I firmly believe that it's not about, you know, teaching people to kick and punch. It's teaching people to sort of like understand who they are, understand what they can get from themselves. Understand that, you know, they have their own choices within their life to be able to push forward and to be able to go on to do and achieve. You know, and like I said before, the only person that ever stops you from doing anything is you. Nobody else. Nobody else.
That really resonates. I always have a giggle if I'm looking through like your social media, and I remember one in particular actually, and I don't know whether you were working or auditioning down in London or whatever, and I always remember thinking, yep, that's the guy, because you were at a cinema and I think you took like a video or something because there was nobody else there, and you were absolutely happy as Larry. Now, sitting chatting to you today, I think people always they don't criticise, that's unfair, but they'll comment on how unsociable or antisocial I am, and you've just hit the nail on the head there. I don't think that's what it is, because speaking to you, you're one of the most sort of personable people that I've spoke to in a good while. But when I wake up in the morning, I want to watch martial arts or fighting videos, and then I want to read about it, and then I want to go and teach it, and then I want to go and train on it. I think if you're into something as much as we're into it, you just get into your own wee world, I guess.
Yeah, it's do you know what people don't understand, right? And like this, like, and this is what people like. Everyone says to me, "You're antisocial." I'm not antisocial. I just don't tolerate dickheads. I don't like. I'm not like everybody else. It's like, and it's just like, and it's like this whole fluffing stuff up. Like, I hate the way people fluff stuff up, and they will allow someone, right, to ruin their whole night just because they don't want to hurt their feelings. They know that they're going to ruin a night because this is what this person does. But rather than go, mate, you're a bit of a bellend, go away, they go, oh, I can't hurt his feelings. Whereas I'm like, hang on a minute, this is my night. Yeah. I'm paying for this night. I've come out to enjoy my night. Yeah. I'm not letting you ruin my night. And I think people misunderstand that. And in terms of, like, you know, the antisocialness, I like being around people that stimulate my mind and stimulate who I am. If I'm in surroundings with people who I share the same, I've got lots of friends. But if I'm in like a circle with people that share the same interests and stuff with me, I'm fine. But the problem that I have is there's too many sheep out there. There's too many people like one, like I'm like, for me, like, my son is my life. He is my complete life, and I want to be the best dad that I can possibly be and stuff. So when I see people being bad parents, that bugs me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I don't mean like, I just mean in terms of the way some people live their life. You know, that's not for me. That's not my thing. You know, and your child's at an age where they see this and they're going to grow up and they're going to do exactly the same things you're doing, regardless of what you want to do. It's not for me. That life's not for me. I'm not interested. But that doesn't make me antisocial just because I'm not interested in or just because I don't go out every weekend and get bladdered and follow the same suits as everyone else. That doesn't make me antisocial. I don't like people. I think a lot of people are morons. So honestly, I think the general sort of population are idiots. You know, and they're just led by like a lead, you know, like a horse. They just get them followed around, and that's what frustrates me. It's like, you know, if you had any intelligence and removed yourself away from the bigger picture and just looked at life, and not, you know, it's like turn your news off for 2 weeks, and then go and live your life. Yeah. You know, don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to normal stuff. Never have. Doesn't interest me. Do you know what I mean? I don't watch normal telly, because it's just full of like stuff to get into people's heads. But then you have like, I don't mix well with, like, I wouldn't even call them normal people because I'm normal. I would like the minions. Should we call them minions? my sort of close friends and there isn't many of them, and my students who sort of know me well, they'll always have a laugh about this, and a lot of the students say that I should buy. I never wear sunglasses. They always say I should
buy sunglasses to hide how often I roll my eyes and stuff. I'm gonna edit this bit of the podcast because I think you might have summed up my feelings in a way that I could never do. So I'm going to edit this wee bit of the podcast and just keep it on my phone and then just play it when somebody asks. Right. Okay. Let's get back in track. So we're going to start. We're going to start really name dropping here, and I think this is the link between the martial arts career, which has obviously been fantastic, and then getting into your stunt work and your acting.
Yeah.
So let's have a chat about Benny Urquidez.
Yeah, I mean, Benny. And again, you know, he's another one that changed my life. You know, I went on a holiday around 2005, and I went on vacation, shall we say, because it's in America. So we went on vacation to America in 2005, and like I remember emailing before, and it was like the old, you know, dial tone email. So it took me about 3 weeks to do anything. And I was emailing his gym in West Hollywood, and just said, you know, I'm coming over to visit. I'd like to come to the gym. Is there any chance I could train? They were like, yeah, just, you know, come in and sort of thing. So as soon as I landed into LA, I got to my hotel. The first thing he did was ring up, and I was like, you know, could I come down tomorrow? And he was like, yeah, come down. So we get there. The lad on the desk, Cody, is a friend of mine now. I felt like I was getting interviewed, you know what I mean? It was like, I turned up with my girlfriend at the time, and she rolled her eyes. She's like, oh, what are we doing? So I'm like, we can't go to LA and not go to any things. The whole premise was for me. So get there, and he's like, so do you want to do some training? I was like, well, I haven't got my stuff, because I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be the guy that rocks up with his bag and goes, oh, I'm just here to train. Yep. It's not me. It's not the way I am. I wanted to get to know them. I want to introduce myself. I want them to feel me out. And then, you know, if they're happy with me training, then I'll go back. It turns out they take me into the back. Benny's got a shop in the back. I get to get some clothes and stuff. And then I come in, so we go into the bag room, and I'm like banging a bag, and I'm like to my girlfriend, take a picture with this bag, take a picture, you know, any bag that was Benny the Jet, I was getting a picture with. And then his wife come in and knocks on the window, so she knocks on the window, so I open this, like it was in this like room, so I open the window and stuff, and she's there. So then she asks me questions, and I feel like I'm getting interviewed by her. So I was like, oh, this is their weirdest. Mm-hmm. So anyway, just cracking on, I'm just living my life, happy as Larry. And then she comes back to the window, knocks on the window, and she's like, listen, Sensei Benny's on his way back. He wants to meet you. Well, that was it, wasn't it? I was just like, my mind was just like blown. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to meet Benny the Jet. So she goes, I'm like trying to be that cool, you know. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get a shower, and, you know, I'll wait for Benny and stuff. Yeah. So she goes, I start going, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on? You know, Benny the Jet. So the girlfriend I was with doesn't get it. She's not like, she just thinks I'm training and some guys doesn't understand. I'm like, stuff else with Jackie Chan and like Roadhouse and Street Fighter, and like started that, and she's just like, oh, you know. So I go and get showered and changed, and I come back through, sat at reception, and I'm waiting for him. And as soon as he comes in, he just comes straight up to me, hugs me. He's like, hey Lee. Sits down. I reckon it was like, it must have been 2 to 3 hours. He just sat there with me and talked to me for ages, and like it was just, and he's like, you know yourself, Master Heel Chow. You know, when you're around them people, you don't have to be shown anything to learn something. Yeah. It's like just being around them and just being in the presence of being with them is like more than anything. You can learn more. You don't even have to watch them throw a punch or anything. Yeah. Just listening to like their way of life and the way that they present themselves and the way that they think.
On there.
Yeah. So I'm there, and we have this conversation, and I'm just in my head. I'm just like, it's Benny the Jet, you know, Grace Point Blank, you know, and I'm just like, I was like, that's probably like the biggest kiddie moment I've ever had. And then he says to Cody, he's like, so what are you doing while you're in LA? And I was like, I'm just going to train. I'm going to come here and train, and I'm going to float around and stuff. And I'd arranged to go to a few other places and stuff. And he comes up to me and he goes, be here tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. So I just went, all right, you know, no problem. So we come out, and my girlfriend goes, where are we going tomorrow? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, did you not think to ask? And I was like, if Benny the Jet gives me an address and tells me to be there at 9 o'clock the next morning, I'm going to be there. I don't have to ask what it's for.
Yeah.
So he's like, just bring your bag and your stuff. So I was like, all right. So obviously get up the next morning, like that, get, you know, flagging down the yellow taxi. I'm in the taxi. I'm all that excited. And I go to Santa Monica and Fairfax. And I was at the Lee Strasberg. So it's like one of the biggest acting things in the world. And the next thing, I'm just learning how to act and do stunts. Totally free of charge. Benny puts me on it. Then he's driving me around Beverly Hills and taking me everywhere. And like, honestly, the whole experience was just like, it was just mind blowing. You know, I got to meet celebrities, got to train with celebrities. I just like, I was phoning home and like, everyone was like, what are you doing what? And I was like, no, seriously, this is happening. So I remember it was my last day when I was in LA, and I was in the gym. And I was training, and me and a guy called Steve were training, and Scott Weiland was in there from Velvet Revolver, Stone Temple Pilots. Yeah, I know. Like, I had my Velvet Revolver t-shirts in my suitcase back in the hotel. So I'm there, like, and obviously, it was just mad. So the phone goes, and Sarah goes to me, Lee, it's for you. And I'm thinking, who's phoning me? And I'm in LA. I'm in Hollywood, you know what I mean? Who's phoning me? I'm in Benny DJ's gym. So we get on the phone, and this female voice comes on. She's like, hey, Lee. And it was Shannon Lee. And she said, you know, we know that you're going to Seattle to pay your respects to my dad and my brother. We've just put this, like, marble seat down. You know, feel free to sit on it. And, you know, thanks for showing the way and stuff. So then I got this message off Bruce Lee's daughter, and I'm just like, what is going on? So it finishes, and so we finished the training sessions and stuff, and I'm saying farewell to Benny, and Benny's like, you know, I want you to be my ambassador for the UK and Europe. And I'm thinking, you know, it's a nice little gesture, you know, I'm saying that, you know, just like a little, like, and he's like, and then he went, now you're officially part of my stunt team. I want you to be part of my stunt team. So I'm like, oh, this is nice. You know, it's a nice way to finish it. Didn't think none of it. So I go off to Vegas, then I went to Seattle to see Bruce Lee and stuff. I come back to the UK, and I think I've been in the UK about 2-3 weeks, and then I was at home. It was when we used to have house phones. Obviously, no one has a house phone anymore.
Well, mine's has just rang halfway.
Oh, was it? so we have. It's when people had house phones. I remember being in the house with my girlfriend, and the phone went, and she's like, "Lee, it's for you." And I was like, "Who is it?" And she goes, "Benny." And I just went, "Benny, who?" I was like, "I don't know any Bennies." I was like, and then she like calls the phone. She's like, "Benny." Yeah. So I was like, oh, I was like, shit. So I got on the phone, like, you know, like, I'm dancing down the stairs, but like trying to compose myself. So I get on the phone, I'm like, hi, Sensei. And he's like, hey, Lee. He goes, we're coming to the UK, we're making a film. I want you to be John Cusack's trainer and stuff on, you know, help assist and stuff like this. Can you get time off work? So I went into work, asked for time off. They didn't give me it, so I quit.
Yep.
I quit a really good job as well. But I thought, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. I'm never going to be given this opportunity to be able to do something. So I helped train Johnny for the thing. I've been onto set a couple of times and did like a little bit and stuff. And then we finished that. And then it was like another couple of like a month or so passed by. And then next time it was like, we're going out to Bulgaria. We'll fly out to Bulgaria. The next thing I'm in Bulgaria, I'm working on War Inc. with Ben Kingsley and like Hilary Duff and Marissa Tomei and Dan Aykroyd and Joan Cusack and I'm standing there and I'm like, what is going on here? You know, it was just like, you know, but Sensei Benny is like, you know, they always say never meet your idols, you know, because of certain things, but you know, he without a shadow of a doubt has been sort of one of the most influential people in my life. Not only because I was a big fan and I was a hero beforehand, but also, you know, he gave this lad who just walked into his gym on holiday like this massive opportunity, and he didn't need to give me it. He didn't need to do anything, and he just took me in, and you know the time I've spent with him and. Like and the stuff we've done, and when he's been in the UK, you know, I did a couple of other films after that with him, and he just being sort of. I mean, I remember when obviously I first got associated with him, nobody believed me, and they were like, what? And I was just like, seriously, and they're like, what? And it's just like I had to do I had to get a lot. I had to do a lot of hard work for people to believe that, you know, I was genuinely part of this guy's thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know, just, you know, being with him and doing the things that I've done has created this. And you know, I speak to him quite a lot. I speak to him and his wife quite a lot. You know, he did a video for me during lockdown from a student, and you know, it just also like, you know, I don't know. I'm quite taken back by the fact that, you know, this absolute like legend of the martial arts has sort of like been able to give me the opportunity that I've been given and open that door. And it's just, yeah, again, you know, it's mind blowing when you sit back and you actually think about it.
One of the things, excuse me, one of and again, it's not something that I want to particularly sort of get into, but I've started, so let's go for it. I'm really against the modern idea of what a Hall of Fame should be. Now, we're talking about somebody like Benny the Jet Urquidez.
Well, what you mean is when someone just sticks them on a postal thing and sends them out, and you have Hall of Fames like 4 or 5 times a year just to cash in on money.
Lee. So,
I'll say it.
Right, okay. I've been invited twice. Now, this is somebody who I've been involved in teaching and training in Taekwondo for 34 years. That's a long time. But a Hall of Fame should be, and it's not floating your boat, it should be for people who are like 6 times world champions, or to the other extreme, somebody like Grandmaster Cho, or a Benny Urquidez, or a Terry O'Neill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and if people find it controversial, 7-year-olds and 10-year-olds should not be in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, this is me getting to the point.
No, I mean, do you know what though, right? And like, I completely agree, and I'll say it because I don't give a shit. I don't care who upset. I don't give a shit. Right? It's like, if you get a Hall of Fame letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get a Hall of Fame letter, and I say to someone, "Why are you in the Hall of Fame?" and they can't explain to you why they're in the Hall of Fame, and they don't know why they're in the Hall of Fame, that letter, right, should be personalised, not printed out and written biro with your name on the top of it, right? It should be personalised to you, and it should give you a breakdown of why you are in the Hall of Fame, right? Not because you're selling tickets and it pays for my yearly salary to be able to go on to do stuff.
But the thing that and this, what I'm trying to, the point of this story is that the Hall of Fame that I'm talking about was attended by, I think 2 or 3 years ago, Benny Urquidez.
Yeah, and do you know why it was attended by Benny?
Yep.
Because Benny was there with me, right? And that same Hall of Fame, right? Even though I did everything for them all weekend, including pick Benny up and took him to all the seminars and stuff, didn't give me a Hall of Fame certificate because I hadn't paid for a ticket for my meal.
Right. Well, here's the point. The year before, when I had been nominated, apparently, and had said no, the second year, maybe a year later or whatever, it came in, and the people that know me will know how passionate I am about this, but the fact that there was a chance to meet Benny Urquidez, I kind of thought about it for a second and thought to myself, oh, what do I do here? What do I do here? I'm happy that my morals won the day.
Do you know when these things first started off and stuff, and you know, it's like, you know, I don't sort of object to people getting stuff if it is specified as to why they've got it and what the achievement is. But when you've got someone getting 5 Hall of Fame awards in 2 years, it's like, what have you achieved in that 3-month period from that Hall of Fame award to that Hall of Fame award?
Yeah.
And it's like, it just, do you know what? It's sort of, for me, it ruined what it was about, you know. And I think for anyone looking on the outside, looking in, you know, you like it took it away, and it just become a piece of paper.
I just wanted the chance to meet Benny Urquidez. That was it. But again, I did eventually just say no. I can't.
You know, it is what it is. You know, unfortunately, within the martial arts, I mean, I'm an old school martial artist, and you know, I teach because I love teaching. I teach because I like passing on my wisdom. I'm pretty shit at business, so because I'm not passionate about business, I'm passionate about martial arts.
Yeah.
So you know, my businesses take over. I've just opened my second dojo. You know, I don't really get on with the parents in the club because I'm too passionate.
Yeah.
I'm too passionate about what I do. So when I want something done, or when I'm asking for something, you know, and I believe in, you know, I'm not bothered if Johnny wants to pay me 50 quid and only a 10. Like, sorry, I'm not one of these people that is like, if Johnny pays me 50 quid and only attends one lesson, he's still paying me the 50 quid. I'm like, no, Johnny, you've paid me your monthly fee. I want to give you the tuition that your monthly fee deserves. Yep. That is where I am. So I'm not, you know, and unfortunately, you know, I think in today's society, you know, I mean, I have got to be a better business head. I understand that because obviously, you know, it's part and parcel of the stuff. But, you know, first and foremost, you know, it's about the martial arts. It's about teaching. It's about providing the service to people that they think is worth that service. And it's, you know, and it's about being passionate. If you lose your passion for something, then what's the point in doing it anymore? Yeah. You know, I've been at that point. I had a 7,000 square foot dojo. Something happened. I lost everything. No circumstance of mine, but everything I'd always invested. On top of that, lost my home, my car, lost everything. You know, something else happened at the time. Don't give someone the satisfaction to talk about it. But, you know, and I just lost everything. Yeah. Everything that I had overnight. And I just lost my passion for it. But I lost my passion, not because, like, I lost it, but I was working, like, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I wasn't giving people the service that they deserved. Mm-hmm. Because I was so tired, and I was like, I'd like filtered myself out into all these different things. Yeah. And I tried to be, like, the cleaner, the handyman, the thing, you know, running the classes, being a PT, putting this thing, and I was like, and as essentially, like, now I go, I'm a martial artist. Yeah. I'm a martial artist. I don't want to be them other things. Yeah. I want to focus. So even now, you know, I teach one-to-ones, you know, occasionally. I think I've gone down to 50 in a week now. I don't want to do any more than 50 in a week. Don't need to. And I teach classes. You know, now I'm doing 6 days a week, but I only teach from 4 till 8. Yeah. So I only do 4 hours a day. Yeah. You know, and even though it's late at night and it gets tiring and stuff, and because there's a lot of stuff to do about it, I can still stay passionate about it. Yeah. I can still stay, you know, hungry for what I want to do. Yeah, that's important. It is, you know, when you get into the martial arts, you get into the martial arts because you want to learn to defend yourself, as everyone says. Why do you do martial arts? I want to learn to defend myself, or I want to be Bruce Lee, or I want to be a Ninja Turtle, or I want to be John Wick, as it is now, or I want to be Conor McGregor. He's not a martial artist, but let's leave that. So you've got all this, you got like all these things, but then once you understand your journey, and you understand when you get to a certain point, it's about passing on. Yeah. So for me, it's about passing on not just my knowledge in terms of like my skill set in teaching, but also sort of what I've learned from the people I've been around and the masters I've been around and stuff, and you know, my mindset and like helping kids overcome stuff. You know, I mean, you know, in today's day and age, I think every other kid's like ADHD or autistic, or you know, and again, you know, that's a different subject. You know, I think, you know, kids are categorized too easy by schools because it makes them look better. So it's easy for them to deal with, which is unfortunate because then they get tarnished with a brush that they don't deserve. But that's my opinion. So, and it's so for every other kid, the kid that comes in, you know, and they're like, you know, and they're like, they haven't, you know, most of them haven't. they just need to be centered.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be showing something, and they need to have a passion, and you know, they need to stay off the computer. They need to get out into the air. They need to go and do things. You know, keep them away from the telly. Take them out. You know, like engage. They need engagement.
Yeah.
You know, children nowadays they don't get an engagement. You know, 90% of the time, one's that's like this. You know, so it's so the kids need engagement. So like 90% of the time, this whole attention thing is what it is. Attention. Yeah. You just want attention.
Yeah.
So for every kid that comes through my door and we're doing, you know, and I've got I think I've got 40 new kids down at the new dojo. And it's great. It's great. It's great meeting new kids from different areas because, you know, the mindsets are slightly different than everywhere else. And it helps me because it keeps me motivated. It keeps me psyched. It keeps me sort of like ongoing and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. Where would my life be without martial arts? Don't know. You couldn't, I could not go my life without it. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's just massive, you know, and seeing my 5-year-old son who's better than I have ever been. You know,
I've seen his roundhouse kicks already. I mean,
yeah, honestly, he's honestly just like being able to pass my love onto my child, right? And whether he grows out of it or not, I don't care. It's like at this moment, like sharing what I share with him, you know, it's like there's nothing in the world that beats it. Honestly, there's nothing in the world that beats it. You know, and he's obsessed with Karate Kid now. We must have watched Karate Kid this last week about 1 million times. You know, knows all the words. Fear does not exist in this dojo, does it? No, it's there, say. Sits there, I watch him doing it, just like on the slide. You know, but like that's a film that when I was a kid, I used to watch religiously before I went to school.
Yeah.
So seeing my son have that same thing, it's like you can't get like help but get nostalgic and go, this is good. You know what I mean? This is like I did this. This was part of my journey and who I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I think. I mean, what can you? I don't know. What can you say about the martial arts?
No, I hear you completely. I'm conscious not to keep you all afternoon, but I've got one more thing that I want to ask or discuss with you. So, one of the things that attracted me to invite you onto the podcast was everything that we've spoke about. But I think you mentioned it as well about people hearing the word no, and you don't get from where you started to where you are now by just accepting no. And that might not even just be like someone verbally saying no. It might be a knockback or something goes wrong and people quits a sort of horrible word, but they give in and they that's what I want to talk to you about. What advice have you got to bring somebody from,
you know,
here to here?
Yeah, for me, right, you're born into this world failing. You're born into this world as failure because the only thing that you're guaranteed is death. So before you even start, you're already on the shit. You're already on that downward slope, and you already know that, you know, the only thing that's going to happen to you is that eventually you're not going to be here. Yeah. You know, so you're already set on this downward slope. You're already set on this negative, and like for me, I just think, you know what, I'm here once, you know, and it's like, you know, someone saying no to me just inspires me to be better. It inspires me to just continue and push forward. I have like I said earlier on, the sacrifices I've made. I've been on film sets, right, and not being able to afford my hotel. So sometimes you have to put your own thing in and then get it back, you know, later on and stuff. I've slept in a car on a lay-by for 2 weeks. So when everyone else is finishing on set and going home and going back to nice warm hotels and having beers with each other, I'm freezing my arse off with a boot meal deal, sitting on a lay-by with me things steaming up and a blanket around me. Then I'm getting up the next morning. I'm going to a service station. I'm getting showered. And then I just go on set. Don't mention it. Don't talk about it. because I know where I want to get. Everything is about mindset, and everything is about it's about what you want. It's not about like what someone else tells you. Someone else's opinion of who you are and them saying to you no, right, can only have a direct effect on your life if you choose to let that happen. If you don't, and you just go and someone says to you no, and it's like, all right, mate, move on. Find another way of creating it. Find another way of making it happen. Because forever, the chances are in this life, you will get told no, right? More times than anyone will ever say yeah. So just accept what it is. Accept what it is. It's someone's opinion. Someone's opinion of, like, I've been for auditions. I used to take auditions there personally because they don't get in touch with you. You go for an audition, they don't get in touch with you. They don't tell you how you did, or, they don't give you no feedback. You don't hear nothing. Do you know how hard that is for, like, a world champion fighter? For no one to, like, return your call. Yeah. But then I got into my mindset, and I remember someone saying to me, it's nothing to do with you. You are there because you can do the job. It's what they're looking for. And just because someone says no, doesn't mean that the next person isn't going to say yeah. If that person says no, it doesn't mean that the next person after that's going to say yeah. You have got to have this attitude where if you have a goal and you have the desire to be able to get from where you want to get, understand that that journey isn't just going to be like you singing in the rain, the Wizard of Oz. Going, I mean, look at the Wizard of Oz with the Yellow Brick Road. How many things did they come to before they had to get to Oz? That's a thing within itself. You don't have to watch that film. If it was that easy to get to Oz, everyone would do it. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's what, and life is about having hurdles thrown at you. It's about where, if you've not got a hard work ethic and you do not put the time into what you want to do and really focused, there's a difference between sayers and doers. Do you know what I mean? How many people go, I want to be a fighter, but they're not willing to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go out doing 10 miles in the morning and put the effort in and the diet and the training. They're not willing to put the sacrifices in. They're not willing to have relationships fall apart.
Yeah.
The top percentage of people in this world, like I've said this before, do you think The Rock's a nice guy? Everyone from the outside looks in and goes, he is. I guarantee you now, he's not a nice guy to be around. Because someone with that much focus and that much determination and that much success has this mindset. Do you think Bruce Lee would have been nice? Bruce Lee knew what he wanted to do in his life. Yeah. Right. And it's not saying that. What I mean is, people don't understand people who want to go out and achieve. It takes a certain type of person. And because they're that mindset, everyone's like, oh, they're not very nice. It's like, it's not that. They're just that focused. Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1973 or something, when he got interviewed and he said to him, when you retire from bodybuilding, what do you want to do? Right. Arnold Schwarzenegger went, I'm going to go into films and I'll go into politics. In 1973. Do you know what I mean? That's 47 years ago. 47 years ago. Around that time, he knew what he wanted to do. Yeah. Right. Not many people know what they're doing tomorrow. Never mind in 47 years' time. And that is the difference. You have got to be able to you've got to understand that in this life, people are going to tell you no, and people are going to put you down, and people are going to say that you're not good enough. But the only person that matters is your opinion of who you are, not what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because there'll be that one person that goes, they are special, and they can do what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And they will get there. And as hard as it is, I've been at a point where I wanted to give up on stuff, and then I remind myself of who I am. I look at the stuff, like my whole house is like a vision board. I have stuff from films and stuff that I've achieved and done stuff like this. And I don't do it because I'm bragging. I don't do it for that. I do it so that every morning I get up, I see stuff in my house that gives me a sense of purpose to go out and do what I want to do in my life. And that's the difference. I'm there to go, this is my life and this is what I'm doing. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. I've got no interest. You're a big head. I'm not asked. You're this. You're a bit boring. I'm not asked. Because what you're telling, what you want to do and what I want to do, different things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, you're going out, like, Johnny won't think twice about going out and spending £300, £400 for a weekend getting wrecked and whatever else he wants to do.
Yeah.
But you ask him to pay £50 for a membership to come training, which will better his health and stuff. And they're like, oh, I don't reckon they'll afford £50 a month. You don't bend this for 3 days. It's like, so for me, like, obviously, if there's anything that I would say to anyone, and that is God's honest truth, is that the only person that can stop things happening in your life is you. Nobody else. Nobody else's opinion matters or anything. Because it's an opinion. It's an opinion of how they perceive you.
Yeah.
Right? One person's opinion of me compared to another person's opinion of me will be completely separate and will be completely different because they don't know me. What I allow people to see on Facebook, apart from calling everyone what I do, that's like, I allow people to just see a percentage of who I am, because I don't want people knowing me. I don't want people like understanding who I am, because then I'm allowing people to sort of come in. Then I'm allowing them to have an opinion. You don't have an opinion. It's just that they don't have a real opinion of who I am. That's just their opinion of who they think I am. So every time that anyone gets knocked back, or any time that anyone feels that they're failing, you're not failing. It's part of the journey. It's part of the journey. And remember that journey, because if it wasn't part of that journey, everybody would be doing it. If it wasn't hard, everybody would be doing it. If it wasn't, if it was so easy to be successful, everyone would be successful. Yep. But it's not, because the essence of it all is you have to work hard, you have to stay strong, and you have to keep focused, and just don't give a shit what anyone else says about it.
Brilliant. Right, so the aim of inviting you onto the podcast today was to inspire, and I think you've done that. I think you've done that. No, listen, Lee Charles, thank you. That's been absolutely brilliant.
I'm straight on to another one now.
Such is the life that we choose. Right, listen, honestly, I'm very grateful. Have a brilliant day. Okay, sir.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.